Hello, everybody. Hello. This was the sample card. I haven't completely finished it yet. I tried to do it before I went away to my field of buttercups, and I managed to make the base of it, but I haven't managed to actually finish it off. So this card we're going to do is apparently there's a guy called Jay Soriano of Mitosu Crafts, and apparently they were the person who came up with it first. There might have been somebody else, but this is off somebody else's video. The person who I saw was someone called Robin Broom on YouTube. So that's where I got this idea from. And she said she'd got it from Jay Soriano of Mitosu Crafts. So there you go. So that's as far as I know with the originators. But I love it. So I'm calling it a 6x6 triple diamond crossover card because that's kind of what it does. So you open it up and you open it up, and then you've got these, which is where you can write your message. So it's a nice card. The one that she did folded down to be 4x4. So I've made mine 6x6, which does mean you need extra card. She did it all out of one sheet, but I didn't want a 4x4 because I don't really use 4x4s. So that is the card we are doing today. So this is from In Love Art Shop, this one. So this was a whole set of sentiment dies, and I use them all the time. Anybody who watches me regularly, you'll know I use them all the time. So if you do go over to In Love Art Shop, don't forget to use my code ICEDImages. That will get you 20% off. And then this sunglass die, both sunglasses die, if you can see. So you've got the sunglasses, and then you've got like a little sea reflection, and then this is a slightly different shape of sunglasses. And these, I got these from Coca Rosa Studio. So this is my new Coca Rosa Studio dies. So if you use ICE20, you'll get 20% off your order for Coca Rosa Studio. So that's that. And then today I am going to be using the Pause for Thought one, which again is an old one. Well, it's a few weeks old now. So this is the kit I'm using for today's card. So just a little remind you what it looked like. So again, that's still available over on my Etsy shop. Right, so let's get started with this card. Now I've stuck certain bits down and certain bits I haven't stuck down because you need to cut them up so before you stick them. Okie doke. So to start with, you're going to need two pieces that are 6x12, and on both of them you just want to score at 6 inches. Now a little side note, you do want to make sure that these base pieces are not very thick. All of your layers, your base, your mat, your pattern, all need to be relatively thin. Don't go too thin, is a balance, but you don't want to go too thick because you will end up with quite a wodgy card. Because I've tried to stay thin with this, and you can see, I don't know if you can see the wodge that I have there. That's quite a wodge. So it does end up quite thick. Okay, so just bear that in mind. If you've got 6x6 card blanks, you could use those. That's another option. So this one, this is quite, as you can see, it's quite bendy. It's probably about a 220, maybe 210 GSM, something like that. So that's those. And then you need two pieces that are 4 inches by 8. And you're going to score these in half at 4. And again, these just need to be the same thickness again. And that is all your scoring. You will need some more base pieces. You also need another 3 pieces that are 4x4. Okay, so you will need those, but they don't need scoring. So we'll come to those in a bit. But that's all your base pieces done. So then with these, we're just going to literally fold all of them in half. So if you've got 6x6 card blanks that aren't very thick, you know, sometimes some of the cheap ones you can get, and they're a bit flimsy and a bit naff, but they'd be perfect for this. And again, if you've got some 4x4 card blanks, I know I probably have somewhere. And again, if you've got thin ones, then they would be perfect for this. So we are just going to fold and burnish all of our score lines. So that's like that. So you end up with 2 6x6 card blanks and 2 4x4 card blanks. So on one of your card blanks, you're just going to cut from the center, the top of the center score line down to the bottom left-hand corner. This is extra. We don't actually use this. If you want to keep this and use it some other way, you can, but we don't actually use it for this card. So we'll put that to one side. So that gives you that. Okay, and then what you want to do is take your other one, and if you have it going the other way, so it opens up the other way, like that, you're then going to cut from the top to this right hand bottom. Okay, so it's important you do opposites. That is what you end up. So you should end up with those two pieces. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stick one on top of the other. So when Robin made this on her, she had a 4x12 piece. Okay, so with her 4x12, she scored at 4 and at 8, and then that meant she had one piece rather than having two pieces. But I did want to do a 6x6 and not a 4x4. But let's stick this down. So I'm gonna put some. It doesn't really matter which way around you do it. I tend to have the card blank that folds, that opens up the right way around. I tend to put that over the top, because then you've got that crease line on the left hand side, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. But I tend to put this one on the top. That's what I did for my sample. So just stick that over there like that. Get it all nicely lined up. Just make sure that this side can fold over, and then that side folds over the top. The other reason as well for doing it this way is because then I haven't tried it the other way, but I would imagine that this one, if you folded it in, then when you fold this one, that little point would get stuck. So that's another, this way round, if you put this one on the top, it just means that you've got a little bit extra gap, which then means you've got just enough clearance for shutting your card. So that's your crossover bit done. So we're going to decorate these pieces first, and then we'll move on to sticking these on. Right, so for the middle of your card here, you're going to need a matte piece that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and a pattern piece that's 5.5 by 5.5. Now, little thing, I would go for non-directional. So for this one, you can go directional, but when you start getting to these pieces here, you do need to go non-directional with your patterns, because if you don't, it gets very confusing and it probably wouldn't work. It would work, but it's a bit of a, yeah, it's just easier. Just go non-directional. It's a lot easier. So that's your centre bit done. So next you are going to need 2 matte pieces that are 5.5 by 5.5, and 2 pattern pieces, again like I said, non-directional, that are 5 by 5. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut these in half diagonally. So if you've got non-directional papers, it doesn't really matter if you cut that way or if you cut that way. If you've got directional papers, it's going to start being a problem. So starting with the mat, if you want to put tape on the back first, you can. And then we're just going to cut them in half diagonally. I'm using wet glue on this one, so I don't need to worry about putting tape on. But for the pattern paper, because I am going to be using double-sided tape, as you'll see in a minute, I've already put the double-sided tape on it. So I've got 2 triangles there, so they can go over there like that. And then we're going to cut this one. Oops. There's your 4 triangles. And then here's my 2 pieces. And as you can see on the back, I've already put tape on. And I deliberately did all around the edges, and then one going from corner to corner. So I'm going to cut down that side. So then I should have tape, hopefully, on both sides. Hopefully you can see the tape there on the back. So I'm going to cut from the top left to the bottom right. So as you can see, because it's non-directional, you can have it any way you want. It doesn't matter. So that is going to go onto there, and that is going to go onto there. And then we're going to do the same with this one. Let's stick these down. So that's what you end up with. So you've got your crossover bit. So now you're going to need your 3 pieces of 4x4 base, and you're going to take one of them And it's going to go on here on this back bit like this. But before we do that, let's stick the pattern piece on. So you're going to need in total 5 mats that are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 and 5 patterns that are 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm going to put this one onto this piece like that, and then I'm not going to stick the others on yet because some of them go in different places. So let's just deal with this one first. Okay, right, so this is going to go on the inside here. Now, I appreciate that my base card doesn't pop out very much against that pattern, but it's fine, whatever. Right, in order to get this lined up, I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm just going to very lightly along the top mark at 3 inches. So I know I need 3 inches there, and I'm going to mark at 3 inches along the bottom. And then I can kind of position this so that point points at there, that point points at there. So then when I come to stick it down, that all works together. So let's stick this one down. Like that. Now I find it easier to stick this one down first because then you can use this as a way of lining up your other pieces. So what we want to do is you're going to bring in your 2 pieces that are 4 by 8. Now, let me just bring in my original. On the one that Robin made, I'm pretty sure she stuck these in on the inside. So these went on the inside like that. Okay, and then they open out that way, and that one opens out that way. But I decided that probably it would be better to stick this on the other side, so on this side here, because otherwise what happens is when you open it up, so if I'd have stuck it like this, then here I would have a ridge. So I decided that if you open it up and open that up, this extra piece here covers this, this bit here, if you see what I mean. So that's how I've done mine. If you want to do it the other way, you can, because you've got so much bulk there, you do end up with a bit of a ridge. So, yeah. It does make it a bit more tricky to do. Just bear that in mind. It does make it more tricky. But I decided that, so that's going to be like that. It's going to go outwards. And if we just bring that whole thing over, so I've got one flap on one side, one flap on the other. And then what we can do is we can line this up. In fact, actually, that needs to go. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so if we line this up here with the one on the back, then you know it's the right way round. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very gently make a little mark here on the inside. So you can't see it once this is stuck down, because this is actually going to be stuck on the, this bit's going to be stuck. The other side's not. And then we're just going to make a little mark underneath here. Hello. Just like that. And then keeping this in position, and obviously it's on the other side there, so you can kind of keep it in position. I can now see where I need to glue. So I'm now going to add some glue, or you can use red tape. I'm going to go along here till we reach our little pencil mark. Come down, and just glue there on the front like that. And then close that back up, just fold that over and stick that down. And it should marry up with the piece on the back. So that's what you end up with. And then when you've finished it, when you open it up, that's what you should get. Now obviously you can see this bit here, so that's where your extra pieces come in. So if we grab one of our spare pieces that I mentioned before, so this is your 3 pieces of 4 by 4, one's on the back, one's here, and this is going to stick just inside here and just literally on over the top there like that. So I'm just going to glue the back of my actual piece. So that is that bit done. So as you can see, this is a little bit too long, but anyway, it's done now. I've stuck it down, so it doesn't matter, whatever. And then I'm going to go ahead and on the inside here, this is actually where you're going to add your white piece. So obviously this is already pale, so I'm not going to bother putting a matte and then a pattern in. A matte and a pattern, a matte and a white piece. So on this one, as you can see, the flap here, I haven't bothered with a matte. I've just done a white piece straight in because my base was coloured. So it's up to you. If you want to just leave it, if you've got a white base, just leave it white and you can use that as your place to write. If you want to, you can add another matte piece, same as those, and a white piece, same as your pattern. So you can do that if you want to. Okie dokie. So with that being the case, we are just going to shut that, and on the front here I am going to add this one on. It's a bit of a shame I've got that there, but it's fine. Once you've got everything in, it's not the end of the world. So that's that one done. And then if we turn this over here, we just need another pattern piece here. So I'm going to use one of these gingery ones. Okay, so that is that bit done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the left hand side. I usually try and do the right hand side first because then that's the way it's going to fold flat in your envelope. So it works out better that way. So we're going to repeat the same process again. So this one, I'm just going to open this out so I can see that it opens this way, like that. Just going to shut that, turn this over, and then again, just while it's loose, just make sure it fits and matches up with the one behind. So they're all literally like stacked on top of each other. Once we're happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and do my little registration marks on the card below. And if you just make sure you do it just under the card itself, it means it's going to be slightly less than the, what you need, but it just means you're not going to see it. Then I'm going to rub anything out and just makes things a bit easier. And then with that in place like that, we're going to open this up and just add some glue. And then if we shut this on top like that, I've got wet glue, so I've got a bit of wiggle room time, but it looks like it fits fine. So that's that one. You can already see the chunk we're starting to get here. You see, got a lot of layers. So you do need to make sure you go thin, but not too thin, but not thick. Right, okay, and then I'm going to go, because this is the front, I'm going to put this ginger one on the front. If we just open this up, this piece here is going to have this one on it. There we go. And then again, the same thing, open that up, get your extra base piece, and that's going to fit in there like that. If you want to, you can just make sure it's just a tiny bit smaller so that it really does fit and it's not too big, but hopefully that's going to be okay. Oh, I'll have a little bit extra, but it's not too bad. So there you go. So that then gives you that on the inside. You've got 2 spaces to write here. If you've got lots of people signing it, you could add another one. You could add another one of these actually on the inside if you want to. So you open it up and you've got extra place there to sign. But that's that. And then all we need to do is decorate it. Yeah, and then that's your little card. And obviously it's quite a nice card because you can post it and it's 6 by, well, I say you can post it, it's heavy, it's very heavy. This is a very heavy card, and it's also very chunky, as you can see, quite chunky. But yeah, but it stands up nicely. If I stand it up, it stands up nicely, and as you can see, this starts to open. If I try, I'm going to try and turn it round, so that's kind of what it, when it's standing up, that's kind of what it looks like. And so obviously, because you've got these that open up, it's just it looks quite nice because they kind of stand proud, which kind of gives it a bit of an extra dimension. Yeah, quite a nice mantelpiece pleaser, I think. So there you go. So as I said, if you want to go and check out, that's the other one I did. If you want to go and check out Robin Broome, Broome spelled Broome. She's on YouTube. That's who I first saw do it, and she does one that's 4x4. So if you want the smaller size, then go and check her out. I haven't yet found Jay Soriano of Mitosu Crafts. I haven't actually found their video on this yet. I still need to find that, but I think they did a 4x4 as well, possibly. I don't think theirs was 6x6. I'm pretty sure it was 4x4. So yeah, but yeah, go and check them out as well, and just see, because I'm sure you can do different sizes of it. It's very simple, really. You can easily upsize this. So for those of you who like the larger cards, those of you who like an 8x8, just get 2 8x8 card blanks, cut them how I did, cut the diagonal off the 2 right-hand sides, overlay them together, and then work out what your square is going to be. So what I did was I actually measured from there to there, and then just came in slightly, because I think this ended up being 4.5. I think if you go from the 3 to the 3, it ends up being 4.5 inches. And I tried with a 4.5 inch square, but it was just a little bit. Anyway, here's my little sample card that I did. This is my little sample card. And it just ended up being, I don't know if you can see that there, it's so close to the edge, it's so close to the crease line that you end up with the corners getting dented. So I thought, right, I probably need to make that a little bit smaller and make it a 4x4. And actually, I think the 4x4 works fine because it's close enough that it looks like it's the whole area, but it's not so close that you're denting your edges. So if you do an 8x8, just stick your 2 8s together, measure to see what this is going to be, and obviously make it into a card blank, so double it on one length. Yeah, and you can do what you want. I mean, if you want to, you can make these slightly smaller if you want to. But yeah, so this is my little sample card. I always do a little sample, and so as you can see, this one I did the way that I think Robin did it. So I stuck it on the inside, and then realized if I put some over the top of that on the front, you're going to see that line, that wedge, and I didn't want to be able to see that wedge, so that's why I've stuck it the way I stuck it on the outside. So yeah, there you go, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and I'll see you all again next time.